So what we're going to do today is we're going to export some of our attendees for a piece of content to Salesforce. We have a piece of content here with just some slides in. What we'd like to do is create a survey that has a number of poll questions in it, which users will answer, and those values will be exported to Salesforce in the form of a lead object. A survey is obviously just a little collection of polls. It makes it a little bit better for the user experience. They can answer all questions at once, and it also means that we can map two individual Salesforce form fields in one fell swoop. Here we've got a Salesforce form field for first name. We need to go to our Salesforce instance. The easiest way is to bring up a new lead entry, and we can copy the label from our lead object here. So the first name label, that's the one that we would like. We want to map from the question, what is your first name? The answer of that will be mapped to the Salesforce form field with the label first name. We're going to repeat this process for surname and for company later. Last name and company, I know, and we can see here from the red asterisks, that these are two required fields that we need to map in order to export successfully and make a smooth export to Salesforce. The last question here in this survey will be, which company do you work for, to ensure that we have the correct values and can export well. We repeat this process, copy from company here, taking care to remove any white space either side, and also it must be case specific. This is quite an important part, a bit fiddly. Make sure that you create this content successfully at the start and you won't have any issues exporting in the future. These three polls in this survey are now mapped. What we'd like to create also is another poll which will record the phone number from each attendee for a piece of content, and we're going to leave that deliberately blank on the Salesforce form field mapping to ensure that we can show you how to export and affect that export later if, for instance, you forget to map to a Salesforce form field at the time of creating the content. There are a couple of recommendations here. You need to ensure that email capture in the data security is set to email capture. Also, the caption needs to be set to email capture. This is to ensure also that each lead entry has an email address associated with it that's something unique to separate it from others. And we'd also recommend that each poll within a survey is mandatory to ensure that the user is answering those questions so you can export well to Salesforce. So now we've collected our data from presenting our content. We've got 5 attendees in this session, as we can see in our analytics module. We can export straight to Salesforce from here, from the sidebar, or we can navigate into the session itself and export from the header in the top right-hand corner. Let's export from here. If you are not signed in to your Salesforce instance, you'll be prompted to here. Take care when signing into the correct Salesforce instance, as you'll not be able to change it without logging out another time. We're redirected back into the export prompt pop-up here. We can see from our 3 mappings from when we created our content and created the mappings with them, but we've also got another poll we know from creating in the previous video that was for the telephone number. Now we don't know what the form field that we need to map to is, so we need to navigate into our Salesforce instance once more. And again, we can do this by going to the lead section and clicking new to bring up a form where we can copy those labels straight over. So I copy this phone label here and I paste them straight into that Salesforce field on the right hand side. Now we've got a full mapping here of everything we'd like to capture and export as an attendee, as a lead into Salesforce. There's also an optional campaign where you can find the campaign ID and export those leads to a particular campaign as well in Salesforce. Let's export now. So we have a successful message, And let's just check in the Salesforce instance. Close this. And let's just give it a refresh. And we can see that all of our leads, all of our attendees from our session have been exported successfully here. The company, the full name, the phone, the email, which has come from the capture. Lead status defaults to open, and then the origin of the lead is also from Glisser.